Hi, my name is Pete, and I'm going to tell you your story today. Now, before we begin, as always, you should have been sent some activity sheets in the post. You'll need some colouring pencils, and of course, that responsible adult to make sure you're not making a big mess. Okay, so at the end of last week's story, Liz told you that Jesus was taken away from the garden, and there was Peter was in that garden too. Here he is, here's Peter, and Jesus had said, "No, Peter, you've got to let me go. This is what God wants to happen." Anyway, so here's the two soldiers. They took Jesus away, and Jesus was taken to the Sanhedrin, which was a Jewish court at the time that was overseen by the priests, and they were putting Jesus on trial. They were making him answer for so-called crimes that they thought Jesus had committed. And while this was happening, Peter was sat in the courtyard, watching what was going on. He snuck off behind the soldiers, and he snuck into this courtyard in the middle of the night. He's quite brave. Very sunny. Now, whilst he was there, someone came up to him and said, "Hey, I recognise you." And what you've got to remember is everyone in this courtyard hated Jesus. So to suddenly say, "Well, yeah, of course I was with him. I was one of his followers," probably wouldn't have looked very, very good, and you'd have probably been beaten up and thrown out. So Peter said, "No, I don't know who this man is." He says, "I'm pretty sure I've seen you with him." But anyway, they went away. Again, a little time later, someone else came up and said, "Hey, I recognise you. You were with Jesus." And Peter again said, No, I've never been with Jesus. You must have me mistaken for someone else." He says, I was pretty sure." Anyway, off they went. Again, a third time, someone came up to Peter and said, "Hey, you were definitely with Jesus. I saw you." And Peter said, No, it wasn't me." Just then, a cockerel crowed. "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" Peter remembered. At the Last Supper, Jesus had said to Peter, "Before the cock crows 3 times today, you will have denied me 3 times. Peter ran away, crying. Anyway, we're going to wind a bit through the trial, and just to get to the end, all we know is that Jesus was put to death. And the soldiers nailed Jesus to the cross. Here's our cross. They nailed him to a cross and put him up there, and Jesus died. And Jesus' disciples and all his friends, they were really sad. They thought this was the end. This was the end of Jesus, but they'd forgotten the one thing Jesus had promised them when they were alive, that he was going to see them again. And you'll find out what happens in next story.